Okay, the next topic is just simply, I just want to go through very quickly. Just want to give you some example, some ideas. Okay, let's say we do have one project to schedule. Okay, the project name is basically housing project in Taman Sri Pulai Utama, which is very nearby from our Taman University. If you go to U Mall, okay, U Mall there. So U Mall is where this housing estate is located. Okay, all right. So master program. Okay, we don't want to go into this thing. Okay, Microsoft project do use this what we call scheduling technique, link bar chart. Okay, link, and then precedent PDM diagram. Okay, they call it network diagram. Inside the menu there, they call it. They do not call precedent diagram. They just simply call network diagram. So it is well understood anyway. Okay, when you want to do scheduling based on whatever given project during tendering or real contract, you need to get information with a lot of things. Description of works, employer requirement or the client requirement, employer or client requirement. What are the design constraints, site condition, temporary works. Temporary work can be quite a hassle, especially if you are working on what we call swampy area. Okay, if you are working on swamp area, you basically cannot go in. Your machinery cannot simply go in. You need to build temporary access road, which can be sometimes very costly, which can basically take a few months of the overall project duration. So if you fail to see those things, at the end of the day, you realize that you have little time to complete the real work activity which client asks you. Okay, because your focus is off already because you forget to include temporary work. Construction facilities or the workers' facilities, site office, site welfare, etc., etc. And you must consider the availability of resources. Sometimes you thought that you want to use this kind of resources based on your planning, but at the end of the day, sometimes you do construction at a very remote area where the resources available are limited. Well, what to do? You need to basically make use of whatever available resources. Okay. Method of construction is very important because it will somehow what we call influence the duration of certain activities. Okay. Uh, Production output or output capacity, or what we call it productivity, and then holidays and sometime what we call unprecedented precedented events such as whatever COVID that we have. Okay, in Malaysia we do have a lot of holiday. Thanks God, so that we can enjoy. But when you put holidays into your work scheduling, well, it will reduce the working days that you have. So it depends, and what kind of financial resources that you have. Okay, so those are the information. Description of work, type of the project, location, size, total unit of housing, scope of work. You need to identify those things. So in this example, is double story terrace link, location, the size of the area, how many number of unit, and then building work without what? Cut and fill, mechanical work, and etc. etc. So this is the drawing that you normally have even during tender or even after you sign the agreement. You will get all kind of information such as drawing. The drawing is very important to give you ideas in terms of the layout, where you want to start your construction and your workflow, and then what are the things inside the building that you need to construct so that you do not miss to construct the stair, the windows, the door. In real construction, people do miss out certain detailing of construction. Then you have to go back. So by that time, it is very difficult already. Employer constraint, the given contract period. Okay, given contract period, and then what else? Let me see here. Handover date. What is the LAD? LAD is the penalty if you encroach into what we call the deadline, and etc. etc. Okay, client direction of work. So you notice the direction of work. Client direct you to start work from where? So why basically client want to direct you? Okay, give you instruction. Okay, you should start from this point. Well, sometimes this is what we call marketing gimmick. When we develop a housing estate, sometimes client want the development to be seen. When people basically pass through the area, people can see, oh, that development is coming up very soon, and let's buy the property. That's what we call marketing gimmick. So that's what client want you to start in certain point, and then moving your work from that point onward. Okay, design constraint. What are the constraints that basically with regard to particular design? If for housing industry, normally it is very simple. Okay, the temporary work, not much, because the area is quite okay. Okay, we do not have swampy area where we do have to treat the soil, etc., etc. We do not have the what we call the slope protection, dewatering, etc., etc. So that have to be taken into account if it is there. Specialist work. Do we have nominated subcon? Nominated subcon is the subcontractor being appointed by the client to work with the contractors. Okay, normally involve mechanical, electrical, lift, the special works. Okay, sometimes even piling also we can call for nominated subcon, and then the rest are the subcontractors. Construction facilities. What are the things that involve? Okay, that you need to take into account. So planning and scheduling. The good planning and scheduling should be comprehensive. You do not leave even small thing out. That is what we call good scheduling. Normally, the failed scheduling involve missing things. You fail to take into account everything. Okay, site condition, flat and no contouring. So the site is okay. It's no hilly. Some of the area could be very hilly. Now they are developing the Pulai Spring Golf Resort there. They wanted to basically construct bungalows instead of being put there as a golf course, which might not be profitable. So they want to develop, but that area is basically very hilly. It is like the UTM campus, very hilly. Okay, so if we are working with in UTM, for instance, to construct something, then you need to take into account many aspects. Okay, access road, where you want to construct access road, and then the work. This is the workflow. So you start from the access road and then moving. And you notice gang 1, gang 2. So meaning to say you are using two group of people. So that two group of people will consist of maybe carpenter, barbender, workers will move along with that order. Is the one that you basically plan. Okay. Those involve how many unit of houses. Okay, so that is the, normally in Malaysia, we construct house based on structural element because mostly involve concrete. That is in Malaysia. But if you are in other country, I know if you are in US or even Australia, they basically have a lot of wooden strut. They do not construct the concrete element as is in Malaysia. And then resources. You notice resources, machinery, labor. What are the trade involved? You see, one gang involved operator, carpenter, concreter, bricklayer, plasterer, tiler, plumber, painter. Two backhoe, and then mobile crane. You see, resources, and then And then this is another thing. Sequence of work by element. You see, this is what we call WBS. But WBS is being shown in terms of relationship from the start of activity until the end of activity. You see, this is a very good diagram. If you, let's say you want to be a scheduler later on, if you can have this diagram before the start of the planning scheduling, so meaning to say you already capture all the activity from the beginning of the project, step by step, then it is much easier for you basically to know what is the type of relationship between each activity. Okay, I know WBS we can draw in term of tree. That's what we call tree. It is like organizational chart, but we can also draw something like this. And why do we need to come up with this thing? Because this one, you see, the task, all this activity basically is the one from what we call this diagram. Okay, then that is the listing of activity. How do we get listing of activity from WBS? And then predecessor. You see, how do we get predecessor? Based on the relationship, we know what activity are related to each other, but then we can play around with the start to start and then with the lag or lead or whatever in order to compress a little bit of time. We can do that. Okay, that is predecessor. Then later on, another thing is basically we need to calculate duration for that activity. Based on calculation, we can calculate based on productivity rate that I have been talking before. Quotation is basically if you subcontract the work. So the work is basically the one that which basically doing the work is basically subcontractor. They are the one that can have to come up with their work program. That's what we call sub work program. Okay, sub work program. So they can give you in terms of the values of duration that they basically based on their calculation, because calculation basically must be based on productivity of the trade that you use. Different trade, different organization do have different productivity rate. So it is the best that you get from the right person who are going to do the work. Okay. And then based on previous project, yeah, we can always refer to the previous project. So that's why if you are doing construction work, you need to do a proper filing system. So that's why in construction nowadays, instead of using filing system manually, a lot of big project in Malaysia or all around the world are using this software, Airconnex, if I'm not mistaken. Let me check again. Something like that. This software is from Oracle. Oracle is the one that basically own Primavera right now. So a lot of big organization in Malaysia, MRT, LRT project, whatever, is basically using this kind of software to better manage the flow of data. Okay, now let's say we zoom in one particular works. Let's say substructure and then pile cap. In pile cap, there are a few activities: excavation, concrete reinforcement, and formwork. Okay, that is the detailed activities and the unit. All these things, quantity, could be already in your BQ, bill of quantities that you get from your client. If not, then basically you need to calculate. Okay, you need to calculate or do the taking of process. So how many unit, total quantity, labor constant. Labor constant is the productivity for the workers. Total work hours in man hour, number of laborer, how many you are going to use, working hours, and then you calculate based on this quantity of time, then you will get the duration. Okay, duration for each work, but then for the overall pile cap, we can conclude it's going to take around 6.44 days, for instance. Okay, for instance. So based on that thing, okay, step-by-step calculation, then, okay, then basically you are going to input them into the computer. Let's take a look at brickwork and plasterer. So each of the work do have the gang or people basically that work inside the group of people. Okay, each of them do have their own productivity rate. So that's how you basically uh, do the process of calculation. So another thing, we already mentioned about the drawing, we already mentioned about the labor constant, and then we also have work specification. Work specification is part and parcel of contract document. If you take any contract document, you can basically Google contract document. They are available in the internet. Any contract, then you will go through what could be the content of that document. One of the content could be drawing. Another content is basically drawing, BQ, specification. So specification has something to do most of the time with the quality of the product to be constructed. So this is where basically the designer control the quality of the work later on. How? Based on specification. So this, if contractor basically follow step by step specification, at the end of the day, they will be almost guaranteed that they will come up with the so-called acceptable quality of the product. But that thing even depend very much on many other situations. But at least if contractor follow exactly what being spelled out, we should get the right what we call quality. Okay, then you notice even brickwork do have step-by-step activity that we need to follow. You see, it start with this one, second, third, etc., until the end of the work. So for each construction activity, if you are able to do that, basically you are doing what we call WBS. But perhaps doing sequence of brickwork, this is too much detailing. There is another concept in project scheduling. You do not want to give the client too much detailing, because otherwise the client will keep asking you again and again. And then another situation is that you might be having an issue with regard to the information that you need when you want to update your project. Too much information that you need, until at the end of the day, you just simply give up on updating project, because once you do not have information, then basically you simply cannot update project. So that's how normally the reason why people abandon the Microsoft project that they developed at the beginning of the project, because they simply cannot find information to update. They just simply give up, and then basically they resort to much simpler way to update. They just update based on major activity, which they basically did on Excel. Why? Because too much detailing can kill you. That is another issue. But anyway, I'm just giving you the concept. Okay, each activity do have one specific detailing. So you see, you can repeat again and again for each activity, doing the same thing. You have the quantity, and then you have the labor constant, and then at the end of the day, you can calculate the duration. Okay, so based on those things, brickwork, you notice this is an example of Microsoft project printout, list of activity, and then you notice duration. Where do people get this duration? It is actually based on the previous calculation. I already told you, based on productivity calculation. It is not based on just merely assumption. or you just simply put any duration that you wish, then you can adjust later. No, 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 that is not the right concept. The right concept, you must basically calculate, and your calculation must be based on resources that you set. Okay, so that's why during construction later on, you need to monitor to what extent the resources has been used according to your plan. If the resources was found to be a little bit substandard in terms of productivity rate, or there could be some other issue, then you need to basically adjust something. Okay, that's what we call revised plan. So that is the basically process. Okay, all of the construction scheduling basically go through this process. It is not an easy job. Okay, so people who are interested in scheduling normally basically have a long way to go, because they need to learn many things. Okay, we are just here in our class to give you some overview of what planning and scheduling is all about. Then if you are interested, you need to learn about the software in particular. Then you need to have a working experience. Then only you will appreciate how to do a good project scheduling. For brickworks is there, you see the step-by-step approach. And similarly, for many aspects, okay, we can always repeat the same process. Holiday and calendar. Okay, you need to figure out what is your working duration for one particular day. By default, in the Microsoft project of Primavera, it is given 8 to 5, meaning to say 8 to 5 is 9 hours. The lunch hour is 1 hour, so meaning to say 8 hours per day. That is the normal working days. But if you have to work extra time, normally in Malaysia, we might be working extra for whatever reason. So you can adjust your calendar in the software. And you can also input major holiday, because in Malaysia during holiday nobody want to work anyway. Okay, so it is no point for you to have activity, because you might not have sufficient number of people. Okay, then you notice once you input the task name, duration, and then at the end of the day, these are the things that we want to basically get. The bar chart in terms of this is what we call link bar chart. Link bar chart. Okay, then we can take a look at the network diagram. That will be in different views. Okay, so that is the concept. Okay, even for plastering work, so previously we were talking about brickwork and then plastering work. So we use the same concept. So in plastering work, what are the step by step? You see, even plastering work also do have step by step. If you want to go very detailed, these are the steps. So if you want to control the quality, then basically you should focus on doing things the right way, etc., etc. But then sometimes it will take you longer time, because maintaining the quality is sometimes require very meticulous detail. Okay, so you go through the whole process. So okay, I do not want to go into detail of the calculation, because this is just to give you the overall views of how we do the planning. Okay, how we do the planning. All right. Okay, so at the end of the day, you can see the what we can generate is based on many steps before. Okay, based on WBS, based on calculation of duration, based on the right resources that we choose, based on the right sequencing, taking into account the specification, method statement, etc., etc. And then what we call this, uh, the one that you see here, this is what we call, I would say, the output, the final product. Okay, final product of scheduling work is to come up with this thing. How to come up? I already mentioned about the step by step. And then the next step. What will be the next step? After we finish on the what we call scheduling, the next step will be the tracking. Remember, the time management involve planning, scheduling, and tracking. Okay, tracking you will learn in second half of the class, but I have to cover earned value management. Earned value management is part of the tracking indicator. So we will cover that topic today, okay? Because in second half, Prof. Zaimi will cover the concept of project monitoring and scheduling. Okay, all right. So that we finish on the second slide. Let me stop recording on that.